What an episode we have just been treated to. Now, if you are new to ups and downs like me, then it's pretty simple. We're going to go through the episode, break it down, and I'm going to tell you the things that were my ups and my downs from the episode. But before we start, I hope everybody's had an amazing Easter weekend. If you're in the UK and you're anything like me, then you will be sporting your lovely sunburn. But let's put that aside and get into the ups and downs of Legend of the Sea Devils. My first up will be the visuals. The visuals of this episode were cinematic and beautiful. I particularly loved that shot under the sea, that beautiful colours, the TARDIS there on the seabed, it was just beautiful. Also, there was a particular shot, I remember I sat there watching it and I was like, wow, I love this. There was an aerial shot of the little sailboat in the middle of the ocean and that big sea monster swimming underneath it. It was kind of like a Jaws moment, a little bit of tension, and it was beautiful. The stars in the sky, it just felt very cinematic, which maybe had been lacking a little bit, but it was delivered here, it was definitely delivered here. My next up for the episode is the soundtrack. Now, I'm a sucker for a soundtrack. I love musical score, and I was always in love with Murray Gold's music. But there is something that Segun Akinola just manages to do. He also did this when we watched Demons of the Punjab. It's when there's a cultural essence to an episode. He is so clever by creating this kind of cultural motif within the music that just brings you to that location even more. And I think he did an excellent job of incorporating that into this story, that kind of oriental feel to the atmosphere. Now, that does lead us nicely though into my first down for the episode. And that is that the character of Madam Ching, when we first saw the trailer, was implied to be this really important part to the story. And to be honest, she kind of felt like a secondary character to me. She was important to the beginning of the story by releasing the Sea Devils, but then she kind of felt a little bit unnecessary, maybe? I'm not sure. Let me know what you think. But I feel like she wasn't really needed for the rest of the story. Her purpose was to release the Sea Devils, and then that was kind of it. But having said that, another up to her is the backstory, though. The reason that she is doing what she's doing, searching for the treasure of the Fleur de la Mar, I liked that. I liked that it was a more human, a more believable story. It wasn't just a quest for treasure. There was a reason behind it, and that moment that she started to talk about her sons, that to me was a moment that an audience, I think, will really be able to connect with. It's a real human thing. You don't do something just for treasure, you do something for your children. And that was a massive up for me. Now, for me, that felt like one of the few moments in the episode that you really understood. And the rest of it, for me, felt quite rushed. I feel like I'm not entirely sure what the Sea Devils' mission actually was. I'm not quite sure what they were trying to achieve, other than making the whole world a water ball. So a down for me is it just felt a bit rushed. I mean, there was a lot of technobabble, which is not unusual for Doctor Who, but we weren't given enough time to process any of it, and I'm a bit confused, to be honest with you, as to what was going on a lot of the time. So we had the TARDIS on the seabed, and we had that beautiful shot, and then all of a sudden it got eaten by this sea monster thing, and then I got confused, because it went so fast that all of a sudden they were in the Sea Devil's lair. And for a while, I mean, I'm still not entirely convinced that this isn't where they were, but for a while I thought that the Sea Devil's lair was inside the sea monster. Which in hindsight, I don't think it was, but because it just went so fast and suddenly we were like, what's going on? I got a bit lost. And also because of that rushed story, I feel like the character of Ji Hun wasn't given enough attention. So again, another down from me here is this character of Ji Hun. We didn't really know that much about him. We didn't get enough time to learn about him, to connect with him. There wasn't very much dialogue from him, and he made this heroic sacrifice, but it just didn't really hit you that hard. It kind of fell flat because you didn't really understand his significance. There wasn't really much about him. I feel like that was supposed to make me feel a lot sadder than it did, but I didn't really know him, so okay. Now, a big up from me. The Sea Devils looked amazing. They did. They really did look fantastic. I think I mentioned this in a breakdown of the trailer. They've been very clever in maintaining that classic look but modernising them at the same time. And they did. They looked fantastic. So huge up there. But there is also a down. And that is, I don't know if anyone else noticed this, maybe it's just me, but when they spoke, their mouths didn't move at all. Don't get me wrong, that's not an easy thing to achieve, and I completely understand that, but I found it distracting. They had their little glowy necklace things when they spoke, which sometimes twisted the wrong way, which was a little bit confusing. I think maybe, you know, I like to pick these things out. Who knows? I don't know. But yeah, they just felt a little bit like cheap puppets to me, and I think there was some kind of dodgy CGI going on with the eyes, so they looked a bit iffy every now and then. So I mean, there's an up and a down here for those Sea Devils. And also, hang on, okay, I'm sorry, my brain has just gone somewhere. Unfortunately, another down, but that big sea monster, what was the purpose of that? What was the sea monster for? I'm a bit lost. I'm pretty sure they did say what it was for, but like I said, it was a bit rushed and I'm still not sure. So some ups. Let's just do some quick fire ups here. I love that the Doctor said Geronimo. I am a big fan of the Matt Smith era. Big fan. And so just those little nuggets for the fans of the previous series, I love it when that happens. So the Geronimos get a massive, massive up from me. Also, no ship Sherlock. That was genius. That was genius. It was a way to kind of cut that little tense moment. It was funny. I liked it. Up. Definitely an up. Let's talk about Thasmin. Thasmin. That was something that fans have been waiting for. Ever since that revelation in the New Year's special, we've been waiting for some Thasmin updates. If you know me, and you probably do know me quite well by now, I love River Song. So the first massive up from the Thasmin section from me is that River was acknowledged. I didn't feel like you could have any sort of Thasmin development without some sort of acknowledgement of the fact that the Doctor has been married before and there was a massive relationship and a very long story with River. So big up, River was acknowledged. Good. I also think that I know a lot of fans will be disappointed that Thasmin didn't become the thing they wanted it to become, but do you know what? The way that Thasmin's development here was dealt with, another up from me, because knowing that Jodie Whittaker is leaving, it didn't seem right to build this relationship any further. I think it wouldn't have been fair. As an audience knowing that she's about to leave, if they suddenly were like, yeah, let's be a couple, you'd just be like, why? All that's going to do is just add more complications next episode. So I think that was brilliant. I think that was the better way to go about it. The Doctor has said this time and time again and always kind of thinks that this time will be different and still always finds themselves in the same situation. It happened with Rose. It happened with River. You try to be happy and it never works out. And I think that's a really strong message with the Doctor. And so I think that was the better way of dealing with the Thasmin situation. And then of course there's Dan. And I really like Dan. I think he's a good addition to the TARDIS gang. I do really like him. And an up from me here, I liked Pirate Dan. He has some good one-liners. He provides a little bit of comic relief. I love that little kind of confusion with his age. I liked that. His pirate costume obviously was hilarious. But a down as well is, I don't feel like he was used enough in this episode. He felt really underused. I mean, if you think about it, if you took him out of this episode, would it really have made much of a difference? I don't feel like Dan's been used enough. And I think that kind of then gives the impression that he's not a very good character. He's a pointless character, and I think there is something there to him. He's just not given the opportunity. I mean, I suppose you had that little conversation with Di at the end, but again, even that felt a little bit pointless. I just kind of didn't understand. You didn't mention Di once in that whole story. It's not like you were thinking about her, and then all of a sudden you were, and it's kind of like, well, what sparked that? You know? Now, I definitely feel like the ending of the episode, to me, felt like the best part of it. And not in a way as in, oh, thank God it was over. I mean that last kind of scene on the beach. Something that I really love, and I don't know whether it's something to do with studying film and the kind of things like that, but I love foreshadowing. I love it. It's beautiful, especially when it's done right. And when the doctor makes her wish, and she says, I wish this would last forever. As an audience, knowing that this is definitely not going to last forever, and actually the next episode is her last one, I love that sort of foreshadowing. It's that kind of moment where you're sat there on the sofa and you're going, oh, doctor, so do I. So that was good foreshadowing. And of course, we cannot have this video without mentioning that amazing trailer for the Centenary Special. That is my bonus up here. That is, if I could give that a gazillion ups, I would. That was absolutely incredible. Now, as soon as that episode finished, my phone went crazy with my friends all messaging me, and all of the messages were about that trailer. We have Tegan in there, we have Ace in there, we have the Master coming back, we have Ashad coming back. We've got Kate Stewart coming back. I love Kate Stewart. We've got Kate Stewart coming back. It's going to be absolutely incredible. I'm very excited. Okay, so there are all my ups and downs for the episode. It was very exciting. I really enjoyed doing it. I'm very grateful that Sean allowed me to step into the spotlight for this ups and downs review. And last but not least, don't forget to like and subscribe and tap that notification bell so you never miss a video from Who Culture ever again. So I've been Ellie with Who Culture, with your ups and downs for the first time. And in the words of Riversong herself, goodbye, sweeties.